Hey everyone, welcome back to Little Helpful Files. My name is Lindsay, and if this is your first time here, make sure to leave me a comment below. I'd love to hear from you. Today we're going to be going through the 26-week savings binder challenge, and I'm going to show you guys how we put this together. So let's go ahead and switch gears. On this channel, we do a little bit of cash budgeting and savings, life in general, all through the glory and by the grace of God. And I just thought it would be fun to take you guys through the process of how I make these little binders. It is a little bit more of a time-consuming process, but I definitely have enjoyed making them, and I think that it's very cool to incorporate, our faith and make sure that we're staying focused on the Lord and having the scripture to point to when we are doing this. So when I am going through and setting this up, I'm trying to create these little envelopes to be 3 inches by 6 inches. And that is because they're all going to have to be folded. So I do use a cardstock, so it's a little bit thicker paper, which you'll see later on. It does take a little bit more time in the laminating machine. But here is where I'm measuring out. So these are about 12 by 12 sheets. So I'm measuring it over to the 3 inches. And then each of these, since they're 12 inches long still, will get cut in half. So that way I have a 3 by 6 piece of paper. And this makes it really easy then to keep them all consistent in the same size. So I kind of just put together, whichever patterns that I like, or try to make a theme out of it for you guys. This particular binder is a newer one, so it's kind of got like purple, burgundy, black, different colors with it, and then it does have 6 different Bible verses that go along as well. And, I think that it's one of those things where the more that you do this, the better you get at it. I was not as comfortable at first doing these, but as I've practiced and as I've kind of learned where I need to measure or how to cut, different things to make sure it looks right and that it turns out the way I need, it definitely makes it easier. All right, so now that we have all of our pieces cut, okay, this is where we're going to switch gears into folding. So as you can see, I have my main card, which is the one where we would track it with the different circles. And this 26-week little binder can be used for a $500 savings, or you can flip it and do $1,000 savings on the other side. And then there's certain amounts for the Bible verse cards, and then all the other decorative cards, there's just 2 different amounts to save. So again, you can kind of customize, save it however you want. You can go in order, you can switch around, you can do all the Bible verses first. I like the flexibility with it. So I just make sure that I crease these really well because, again, they are cardstock and that is going to be thicker paper. So we want to make sure that they are really folded and lined up well so that way when we put them through the laminator, they will not have as many air pockets around them. We want them to be as flat as possible. All right, so now I'm just kind of organizing these, and as I was going through this, I realized I had a duplicate of the Bible verse because usually I make 4 of the one style binder at a time. So these will all just be for one binder because it ends up being 27 cards, 26, and then the front card. So now I'm getting the laminating sheet out, and I do the 5 mil. It's a little bit thicker, and I'm just making sure if I see any fuzz, I'm, wiping that away and, just trying to make sure if there's any little fuzz or dust that I can get that off. And then I've pretty much just eyeballed this in terms of where I need these to be. So the part that is going to be cut, that is open, is going to actually be facing towards the center. So the edge is going to have space for hole punching. So that's why you'll see the way that they're lined up is that they're all facing in. And that's where, again, we're going to be cutting them to make that little pocket open. And as you can see here, you get to see real time. You can't rush the laminator. It definitely is a slow process with going through. But again, you want to make sure it's sealed properly. It has to go through slowly. And I actually run it through at least twice. And then you'll see later, I do send it through again once I've cut it. Now, if you did not want to make these with hole punches like at the bottom, let's say you wanted to do a 26-week bundle that you were doing just like as envelopes, you don't have to worry about that bottom portion being, about an inch or so long. You would just cut that right up next to that like bubble area. You don't ever want to cut into the bubble area around it because that is going to break the seal of the lamination. So as you can see here now, I've sped it up for you. I wish that it could go this fast, right? I would get these done so much sooner. But I'm going to go ahead and get all of these laminated, and like I told you, I am sending them back through twice. It helps to make sure that they're sealed when I go to cut it, but then again, I will send it back through the laminator once I have kind of trimmed it down, because I like to make sure that all the sides are sealed and that there's nothing that's going to be like coming apart, or just to try to get that bubble as close to the edge of the paper as possible. That's another reason to do that. So now we're getting set up. I've got my little hole puncher, I've got my paper cutter, and this actually is a cutter I have designated just for my laminating sheets. It cuts them the best. So I'm going to be cutting these through the center, and I make sure to put them all so that the place where it's going to be open is facing the same way. So when I'm doing this, I really like to make sure that I am trimming it up and then putting the hole punch in, because I don't ever want to accidentally cut it like upside down and cut the wrong end. So, as I have done this, I've kind of gotten a little order of a system here, because obviously the ones that have words on it, it's very easy to see which side is up. But with the patterns, it kind of is hard if you, are trying to figure out which side is the end that is folded. So here I'm going to trim off those edges as close as I can get without cutting into that bubble area that is around the cardstock. And then, like I said, I have a place where I measure on here. I'm going to cut that little extra off, and then I'm going to take this over and hole punch. Now, these are 3x3 inch 26-week saving binders, so you only need the 3 holes. So I kind of just try to measure that out as best I can to keep it centered. So I'm just going to take you through. I'll get this sped up because otherwise this will take us a very long time to go through. Now here I just want to try to show you, hopefully you can kind of see that little bubble area around the edge there. So again, that's what we don't want to cut into. And if you don't want these to be hole punched, let's say you want to make a 26-week challenge that is just the envelopes and you want to put it in like little box or pouch or something, then you just would cut that bottom portion off and not worry about the holes. But again, you just have to be very mindful and careful of making sure you know which end is the end that is going to be able to be cut and be open, and which end is the folded end. So that's why, like, as you'll see me going through this, I really make sure to get those hole punches in, because then once it's hole punched, I know that the opposite side is the side I'm going to be cutting to then create that envelope to be able to put the money in to hold it. So some of the supplies that I have on here, they are going to be in my Amazon shop. So you can click the link in my description for the Amazon storefront. And I do have a limited supply of these 26-week savings binders with Bible verses. So these are extremely time consuming for me to make. And as I said in January, I was not planning to do a lot of physical items, but I know that there are a lot of you that want to be able to get one of these. So I'm doing my best. I'm trying to make a few extra than I had planned. So what I have up on the Etsy shop right now is all that I'm going to have available, and that is going to be until after the baby comes. Then I will reassess. I'm not sure if I will be able to continue making these or not. It's going to just depend on how much extra time I have, because again, I mean, each one of these takes me probably over an hour. If I were to not speed this up, you guys would be super duper bored. So it's just really hard with the 2 kiddos that I have, and of course a baby on the way, to find the time to do this, because it does take a lot of patience and attention to detail to make sure that you're cutting it properly, that you're getting everything straight, to make sure that everything is laminated and properly sealed. So that is why I thought this video would be fun if you guys wanted to kind of put together your own 26-week challenge, maybe make one at home. I just figured that this would be an awesome way to show you guys how it's done. And when you keep seeing my hand go over to the side, so I do have my laminator sitting over there to the left of me. And each time I was cutting it, I was sending it through the laminator. So now that I've laminated them after being cut, I am just cutting off that top portion, and I'm actually cutting into that bubble area because this is what's going to allow the envelope now to open. And then I do check each one to make sure that it is cut properly. So here you are going to see what I'm doing is just kind of laying all these out. This is my process of trying to figure out what order I want them in, and it does change for each one. I just kind of like to put the coordinating patterns together. So the final step of this is adding in that hair tie, and this is what is going to help keep your binder closed and together, especially as you add in cash and you're saving. It'll just help to keep it together because it will get thicker. And that is all, you guys. I hope that you really enjoyed this video. I hope that this helped you all. Again, this is like that purple, burgundy, and black combo, but you can head on over to Etsy to see the other options that I have available until supplies last. So again, these are limited in supply, and if you are watching this video at a later date and I don't have any, I'm very sorry, but hopefully this will encourage you and give you some great inspiration on how to make a 26-week savings binder of your own. I love the little mini and compact size. It's my favorite. It makes it just really easy to keep. And yeah, I hope you guys have fun. I pray that this video blesses you, and I'll see you all in a video soon. God bless.